What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Total Sports Live podcast. I'm Harrison Brown-Russo here, as always, with Jovan Alford. And today we're here with a special guest, Arlington Renegades DB Joe Powell. Joe, how's everything going, man? Really appreciate you taking the time for this interview.
Everything's going great. Been enjoying Texas for the most part. Finally got our first game out of the way instead of having camp and doing all the hard, dirty work in camp. And everything's good, man. Doing something that I love to do, and doing it at a high level.
Harrison,
That's
we
great.
should have said football legend. We should have said football legend Joe Powell, because the
Football
man
legend Joe
played
Powell from
everywhere and
all the
dominated.
different ranks. AFL, CFL, AAF, USFL, all the different leagues. So really appreciate you taking the time, Joe. Let's talk about this process here in the XFL this year. You played back in 2020 in the XFL. What was kind of the process to join the XFL this year in 2023? Was there any differences that you noticed?
The only difference was, I mean, it's a different atmosphere as far as the type of guys that they was trying to bring in. I was fortunate enough to be with my coaches again that I was with in St. Louis. So I felt like, I had the edge in that aspect. So I mean it was the same type of deal with the draft, and then, we go through camp and things like that, but it's really no different.
Yeah, you mentioned it right there. You played with a lot of this coaching staff before, and even back in the AAF, you played with Tim Lewis, your current defensive coordinator. He was the head coach of the Birmingham Iron. Jonathan Hayes, the offensive coordinator, St. Louis Battlehawks head coach back in the day. Bob Stoops really did a good job bringing a lot of that St. Louis staff to Arlington. What's kind of your thoughts on this coaching staff?
I feel like we got the best coaching staff. When you look at our coaching staff, like somewhere down the line, they all either they play with each other or coach with each other or coach one another. So it's chemistry in that aspect when it comes down to those guys. So the gel is there. And then, with the experience of, playing in the NFL and coaching in the NFL, you can't ask for a better coaching staff in that aspect. And then again, like half of the staff was with St. Louis, so everybody, you know what I mean, are familiar with each other. So the coach staff is amazing, and I love them.
Yeah, you mentioned as we were, like we opened up the show, football legend, because you played everywhere, including the indoor game, and dominated PIFL, NAL, AFL. How do you think playing in the indoor game helped you to play outdoors? Because a lot of people look down on indoor leagues, saying, it's a gimmick. Me and Harrison talk about this all the time. Everybody thinks it's a gimmick, or guys, can't go to the outdoor game and dominate it. But you've shown that you can go indoor and then replicate those things and do it outdoor.
Right. I think for the most part, because everybody can't play indoor, and a lot of the great indoor players are not the best outdoor players. But for me, at first I was scared to play indoor only because of what I've seen as far as with the walls and the way I play the game. But once I got in there, I'm a athlete at the end of the day, so I'm not just only a DB. I could play receiver too. So I feel like that helped my game as far as transitioning from outdoor to indoor because everything is a lot faster, everything's a lot quicker. So I feel like that right there trains my eyes for once I come back to outdoor. And then again, it's like I've been around great coaching as far as from the indoor and then coming out to the outdoors, just the coaching alone. And then I work on my craft 24/7. So I feel like that's the biggest edge that I have because I go by the motto of separate yourself. So at the end of the day, I'm separating myself through everything. It don't matter if it's sports, life, family, friends, whatever. I'm gonna approach myself with separating myself with no matter what it is that I'm doing.
Yeah, and I noticed that, like we mentioned, back in even the indoor days, like you separate yourself, especially in the AFL. Like you were like the guy that teams like had the game plan for. Like they knew
Right.
like they can't throw to your side, even in kick returns. I mean, we saw it even in the AFL, I mean, in the XFL back in 2020, having the kick return, and even now, in week 1 against the Vipers, like dudes aren't trying to kick the ball to you because they know, like, you could do with it, how, just looking back at that, indoor experience, what was probably like it's like some of your favorite moments, like going through that?
Favorite moments. I think every moment is a favorite moment, only because you got the good and you got the bad, but you learn from everything that happens in life. So I feel like just playing in that game and being a caliber player that I was exciting within itself. So I'm humble, to be recognized as one of the best guys to play the arena game, or considered as a front side corner or return specialist. And it's just an exciting experience. That's all.
Certainly one of the best AFL defensive backs in recent years, absolutely, and really transitioned into the XFL. Well, once again, you always have done a good job transitioning outside. Let's look at week 1 a little bit. You guys did a really good job defensively, especially against the talented Las Vegas offense. You had 2 tackles, and like Jovan mentioned, some really nice punt returns. Can you just talk about week 1 a little bit? What was kind of your thoughts on the game?
Thoughts on the game was really just be ready when my number was called. I'm backing up 2 great safeties, and then this is my first opportunity to play return in the outdoor game professionally. So it was, yeah, I'm not gonna say it was a lot of butterflies, because I'm playing with a chip on my shoulder, only because of the way my last situation went when I was in Carolina. So I was just more so just staying the course and being ready when my number was called, and just don't flinch. So week 1 was great, obviously, because we got the win. But again, like, when you got the type of coaches that you have and they put in a great game plan for you, it's nothing to do but to go out and execute. So you know they prepared us, we executed, and we came out victorious.
Yeah, looking forward to, like you said, you guys had an incredible week 1 win. I mean, coming back in the second half, that defense. I mean, y'all put it on Luis Perez. Like y'all got at it and really turned the direction of that game. And now y'all going to this week's game against the Roughnecks, who put on a show in their first game, dropping 33 on the Guardians, and they have a air raid, spread offense, where we're talking Deontay Burnett and Kirkland and Borgie out the backfield, and even the tight end Owens. Just a lot of weapons. Like, what do you think that you guys have to do to slow down this high flying offense that everybody's probably wowed at? Like, oh, like this could be the team that could do something.
We just gotta stick to the game plan. Again, coach put in a solid game plan for us this week. And all we gotta do is just go out and execute. You gotta do your job, your 111th. Don't go out and try to do too much. Coach always said, when you see too big, you see too little. So you just gotta be keyed in on your keys and your techniques and your assignments, and just go out there and have fun, man. And execute, man. That's the biggest thing. You just gotta execute. You know what I mean? So all throughout the week, you gotta prepare. You gotta get the film study. You gotta make sure you understand and why are we doing certain situations. And it's gonna be a great game. I feel like it's gonna be one of our rivalries. So I feel like it's gonna be a great showing.
The in-state Texas rivalry. I love it. And then you got San Antonio as well. There's some real good rivalries right there for the XFL. Now, we've seen one game of the Arlington Renegades. You've been there for almost about 2 months now. Who are some teammates of yours, maybe defensively or offensively, that have really stood out to you that you just think, man, this guy's a great football player?
Uh, Shoot, I'm gonna just go with my whole team. I
Go
ain't,
ahead, right.
I'm not, I'm not, too big on just singling guys out. As a team, collectively, we are a great group. We get along very well. You know, Going back to week 1, us being down 14-3 at half. This the first team that I've been on where it was no panic. It was no one flinched. Like, the poise was amazing. So that alone can tell you about a locker room or a team. So you know, so everyone from the training staff to our equipment guys to our coaches to everyone that's a part of the Arlington Renegades. So
I like it. I definitely got that impressive, especially that defense. It seems like you guys have a really, high flying unit that can get after quarterbacks and do a lot of different things. I'm excited to see how your guys' defense progresses throughout the year. Let's talk about some of the rules in the XFL. There's a lot of different rules that the XFL is trying out that could be implemented in some other leagues as well. What are some of your thoughts on the PATs where, it's a tier system? You can get 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, the kickoffs, just in general. What are some of your thoughts on the different rules in the XFL?
I honestly like them. I actually love them. As you can see, the point after the points after the conversions after the touchdowns obviously can help you. After watching the St. Louis and San Antonio game, um, the kickoff, I I love it. It's not too much of a collision no more. It's man on man football when it comes down to kickoff. Is either you gonna beat me or I'm gonna beat you. Because now that we in a closer, you know, frame, and then I think I like the punt the most only
Yep.
because everybody's going to get an opportunity to return a kick,
Hmm.
no matter what. So I feel like that's probably going to be one of the most exciting things, and being that right now I am the return man, I'm looking forward to getting those returns and showcasing my talent. So I like the rules. It's very beneficial for a lot of folks, and again, like special teams is if not the is one of the most important. In my opinion, it's the most important aspect of the game.
Yeah, that punt return, rule. I think people like look over it because, like you said, you have the conversions and you can, like you said, you can go for 1 point, 2 point, 3 points, and you're never out of
Mm,
a game, right? As we saw every game, like mostly came down to, like the last 2 minutes. But that punt return rule is different because I think right, the punter like kicks in a touchback, it goes out to the 35. So they're trying to get the punters to keep it in and give you guys. So we're seeing. I think I saw like just throughout the weekend, like a lot of punters are like punting right down the middle, which is like almost like a
yep.
no-no. Like you're not supposed to do that. But it also, like you said, it sets up for guys to get return because after the XFL, right, between that and the kickoff return, like they're really trying to bring back the return element, to football because right now we only see like a bunch of touchbacks. But now, like y'all are
Hmm.
like taking it out and trying to like take it to the house.
Yep. Most definitely. Yeah, yeah. If you kick it out of bounds, man, like even on kickoff, you kick it out of bounds, it goes to the opposite 45. So that alone puts the offense in a striking distance, and the yeah, if you punt it out of bounds or if it goes in the end zone, it's a minor penalty, but at the end of the day, it's still major in my opinion. And then I love the onside kick rule to where you go
Mm-hmm.
for it on 4th and 15, and if you convert, your drive still goes on. So I mean, I love the rules. I feel like eventually a lot of other outdoor league will transition to it.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely see. And before we wrap up on the pod, really again appreciate you, hopping on with us, breaking down, talking about, you with the Renegades this week, looking back at last week and just talking about your career. And we mentioned, briefly about you playing, outdoors and a bunch of leagues, but also indoor.
Hmm.
What keeps you motivated to play the game of football, especially in the XFL, despite all the success that you have? Because me and Harrison was talking before the show. It seemed like we've been watching you for years, right? We were
Right.
like, he's only 28 years old and he's still like balling. It was like he had to be like 2021 when he was like playing in the AFL and stuff like that. And
Yep.
me and Harrison started to date ourselves in terms of age, but like what keeps you motivated to keep going and to keep playing? Because a lot of guys, they probably just be like, all right, I got it out of my system, like is what it is. But like you, like I said, have gone at every level and succeeded and are still playing at a high level?
I feel like it's the fact that I feel like I have a lot more to prove, not not just to the world but to myself. And because I mean every level, uh, other than indoor, outdoor, I've always been like somewhat of a backup. But every time my number was called, I did my job at a high level. But it's just the fact that I'm an inspiration to a lot of folks, to a lot of people, and I feel like that's one of the things that keep me going because coming from where I come from, it's like you beat the odds. So it's like being that I beat the odds and that I didn't have a strong college background and I was still fortunate enough to make it to the highest level and be able to play at a high level at any level that I played at. I feel like that's what keeps me going to know that I got kids that look up to me. I got, family or friends and things like that that I inspire on a daily basis because they see that no matter what, I've never given up. So, and then, it's I really want to, use this platform to set up, me and my family in a better situation also. So that's really what keeps me going.
You mentioned being an inspiration to people. What would kind of be your message to maybe younger athletes, maybe a football player going the JUCO route or looking at arena, or even just anyone going through maybe a hard time in their life? What's kind of your message on perseverance and inspiring to go to your dreams?
Uh, I feel like no matter what anyone is going through, the only person other than yourself that matters is God Himself. So, at the end of the day, nobody is perfect. Nobody is going to be going through the greatest thing every day. It's just you got to be able to, you know what I mean, keep your head up, keep pushing no matter what's going on. And sometimes sometimes you got to put on a different face for people because you don't never want to show when you're down. You don't want to show weakness. You gotta stay strong no matter what. And you just gotta separate yourself. Like separate yourself really goes for everything that you do, no matter what it is. Separate yourself is what's going to push you to that next level. Even if you in the weight room and you don't feel like you could push that one rep, when you separate yourself, you're gonna push two or three more reps, and you got better in that aspect. And I really feel like that's really the main thing is separating yourself and knowing who you are as a person, and mainly getting a relationship with God because He's the one that knows your interests at heart. He know if you working and deserve what you feel like you're working for.
I love it, man. This is the Total Sports Live podcast here with Arlington Renegades defensive back, Joe Powell. Joe, really appreciate you taking the time tonight on this interview. For me and Jovan, we definitely wish you and the Renegades the best of luck this season in the XFL. We'll be tuned in. Looking forward to watching that high-flying defense some more. And like I said, man, really appreciate you taking the time for this interview.
No problem, man. Hey, Renegades for the championship. I'm calling it now.
Hey,
you
let's
heard
go.
it here first. Joe Powell
love
Joe Powell's gonna have a return this week. Putting it out there.
Hey.
It's up. It's up. It gotta happen. Like it just gotta happen.
I love it. You guys heard it here first. Arlington Renegades, XFL champions 2023. Let's get it, Joe. Thanks again, man.
I appreciate y'all boys, man.